Workers in India, they're feeling the pain as the pandemic batters its economy. 21 million salaried workers lost their jobs between April and August. White-collar and industrial staff, they account for about 22% of total employment in India. Daily wage workers aren't included. Well, for more on this, Neha Punya joins us now from New Delhi with the latest. Neha, 21 million salaried jobs lost between April and August. What are the sectors that have been worst hit?
Dan, this category includes anyone who has a steady job and gets paid regularly, which is once a month here in India. And because of that broad definition, we are seeing the impact cutting across sectors, both informal as well as formal. These are people employed by the government, those working in industries, white-collar workers employed by private companies, as well as those employed by households like gardeners, security guards, cook, household help as well. And what's interesting is that when the lockdown was first imposed, this segment of people was the least impacted, but as the economic downturn has become more severe, they're bearing the brunt of the slowdown.
Neha, these figures, they exclude the daily wage workers. What is the situation on that front, though?
Absolutely. So when the lockdown was suddenly announced, Glenda, in March, you had 120 million people losing their jobs in the month of April alone. And a majority of those suddenly unemployed were daily wage workers working in informal jobs. About 91 million daily wage laborers were suddenly left out on the streets as companies shut down, with no clarity on how long the lockdown would extend for. But as the government has slowly eased lockdown restrictions, large sections of the economy have opened. These group of workers have actually been able to find jobs now. About 80 million have found employment in the last 2 months, and only about 11 million currently remain unemployed, a huge dip from the numbers we saw in April. And part of the reason is that travel restrictions have been lifted by the government as well, so many have travelled back to cities to find employment here. Others continuing to stay on in rural India where they're doing agricultural jobs.
The outlook for employment continuing to look bleak in India. Neha, thank you very much for that update. Neha Punya there in New Delhi.